Well, I want to use 4 C's, if it might just bring it into a little bit of clarity there. And the first one is about confusion. So we're thinking about the world that we're living in. Our vision comes from looking at the confusion both in the church and in the world in which we're living in. In the church, the confusion exists between kind of a thinking in terms of the separation of the Christian view and then the world's view, dualism as it's understood. So we see that has an impact on the church, so that people don't really understand the worldview of the world around them. And how do we communicate that? Conversion is important for me. It's my conversion to this, seeing it this way, and vision comes from when we actually begin to see that the church is sometimes living in a little separate compartment and the world is another compartment. And unless we see the danger within that, we'll never grasp the vision and say we must do something about this. And that conversion for me took place over quite a long time in interacting with literature and authors such as Schaeffer and Lewis and modern writers and speakers and organizations like Zacharias Trust, where I would go along to for the last 10 years and starting to imbibe this and then starting to think this through. So then for me it goes from, as it were, the confusion that I observed to the conversion in my own life in this, to then trying to help people have confidence. So many Christians don't have confidence in what they believe. They believe things, but they don't believe them convincingly, and they have lots of secret doubts, and they don't know if it's okay to have doubts, and to be able to share their faith with their doubts, and to be able to help them to understand how to do that. So that's about helping to encourage people to have confidence, both in what they believe and then how to communicate, because communication is the last thing about that. Have a vision of the importance of communicating our faith with this world. But we're not going to communicate our faith with the world around us if we don't understand what the world around us believes. So, for example, one thing we like to do with people is to help them to instead of in their evangelism going to tell people what they should believe, but to begin by trying to understand what they actually do believe. Maybe it's far, far away from where they want them to come to, but that's so important. And then they can start to communicate. So that's where this vision, as it were, emerges from. It's an understanding that we live in a confused world, even in the church. And we become convinced of that, converted nearly to that, and then we start to see how that will help people to have confidence, and then eventually they'll communicate that. We hope that's the goal in the long term.